Alright guys, so recently we've gotten a lot of leaks for the iPhone 14 as things are starting to ramp up again. I want to talk about all that today in addition to some other Apple news, because you have to realize at this point, we are like 2 months almost to the day from the iPhone 14 being in our hands. Which is insane because it feels like we've been talking about this for so long, but like the time is actually passing. We're getting close to September, which is why, starting off with this first story, I think September could be a little controversial. Controversy in the Apple community? What? No. Everybody agrees on everything here. What would people be controversing about for the iPhone 14? Well, according to a new report from the Wall Street Journal, a lot of phone manufacturers, including Apple, are looking to SIM-less iPhones. Now, this is something we've heard about, that the iPhone 14 might not have a physical SIM inside. But wait, if the SIM card is what makes the phone a phone, how is this gonna work? It's this thing called eSIM or electronic SIM, and this report from the Wall Street Journal points out about adoption around the world and how outside of the US, this is already pretty common. So with the iPhone 14, at least in some markets, Apple's planning to not put a SIM card tray in here, which I don't actually think is a good thing. Like it's convenient, but it gives carriers a lot of control, and it's just not as nice to be able to get a SIM, pop it in, and move on. Like I have Verizon, you have to contact your carrier, you have to work with them, you have to trust that they're actually gonna do what they say they are, which happens like 10% of the time. But at the same time, more internal space, if Apple's not building out a slot in the iPhone for a SIM tray, that could mean better battery life. That could mean putting other modules or sensors in here. And I will say, yeah, if I could get better battery life and opt for no SIM, I would go that route. But I don't know, I'm so split on this one, just because no physical SIM tray to swap out your carrier at will, that's a big change. Okay, and if we thought this MacBook Air M2 was a controversy, I don't think I can handle September. Speaking of handling September, love that transition. I don't know how Apple's holding up either as far as production is going, because according to a new tweet from Ross Young, who is essentially 100% accurate on everything, he says that Apple's running into some issues with the Max size model. And it's not just him. We've heard from other slightly less credible sources that, well, the Max size, because it's the new sub $1,000 6.7-inch model that's not going to be the Pro iPhone. See, because they've never done that size in that non-Pro design, there's some issues with getting shipments of panels and other pieces to make that device happen. So it's possible that, like we've seen in the past, Apple could announce 3 or half of the iPhone models on launch day, and then a couple weeks later is when the other phone becomes available for order. But that's always a situation that kind of sucks, because then if you want the phone right when it comes out, you might have to skip the phone that you truly want if you don't want to wait for it, and it's just not fun. Like, it's like the new model we can't get our hands on until later. At the same time, I don't want to sit here and act like I could just do this better. Like, do you guys know how to build a phone? If you do, please tell me. Like, I would love to make a phone. I just think it's impossible. So all things considered, with the supply chain still recovering, and us still being in a pandemic, one model falling behind, I feel like that's acceptable, all right? I understand how that would happen. I don't think that's Apple's first choice, and it certainly isn't ours. But yeah, I want to let you know, the Max size model, the big new one, the $900 version that everybody's so hyped for, it might not be ready for a couple weeks after the event. The other Max size, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, though, that seems to be going pretty well. We've seen a fresh batch of schematics that confirms everything we've anticipated about this device. Of course, the eye cutout on the front for the all-new Face ID system that no longer is housed in the notch, and the huge camera bump on the back and the lightning port. But for what it's worth, in these schematics, we do see the SIM tray. And we know it's a SIM tray because the 5G antenna cutout is smooth. You can see the pinhole for how you eject the SIM card. So seeing this leak this late in the game makes me think that Apple's probably not going to go SIM-less, at least everywhere, but we've also, seen differences in schematics where some markets, like the US versions, have the 5G window, other markets don't. So if this is a schematic for one area, not another, see what I'm saying? It doesn't exactly paint the full story. So I don't know, a lot of information about the iPhone 14, but really crazy to me, like 2 months away. What? How are we 2 months from the iPhone 14? Oh, and one more thing, how are the speaker holes still uneven? Like, we are so many generations into the iPhone having the asymmetrical speaker holes. We can't make it the same. We can't make the speaker, like, I know that's small, all right? I'm not supposed to care, but like, yeah, it would look a lot nicer if they were just, can we just put the same number of holes on each side? That's all I'm asking. All right, now moving on from that, let's talk about AirPods Pro 2. We've got some bad news for these boys today, that you might need to buy the iPhone 14 to use them, or at least an iPhone 11 or newer. This is courtesy of a tweet from Shrimp Apple Pro, who says that Apple's planning some pretty strict requirements for AirPods Pro 2. He says on the iPhone side, yep, the 2019 iPhone 11 or newer. On the iPad side, something pretty recent. And then Macs, it sounds like only those with the M1 chip or newer, so no Intel Macs. Which, to be clear here, is a really restrictive list. I mean, Apple normally announces products that go back until at least the iPhone 6S or 7, sometimes even older than that. So seeing this, I was like, wait, what's one thing that all these devices have in common, or at least most of them do? Well, I think it's the U1 chip. Let's talk about the U1 chip for a second and what this exactly is. It is this ultra wideband chip that does a lot with proximity. So it's what makes that cool feature on the HomePod work where you can transfer the music on your phone to your HomePod and you get that nice animation. But there's also been speculation that this chip could be used for high-res audio. Now, hear me out, because I'm not saying that this is confirmed or that this is 100% happening. I'm just saying, like, looking at this device list, being as selective as it is, I don't think it's just that they need a fast processor. AirPods Pro 2 are rumored to be able to transmit and receive lossless audio, which you cannot do over Bluetooth. The codec, the way Bluetooth works as a technology, it's not a pipe wide enough to transmit all the data. It's too thin. The U1 chip, well, that could be wider. And it's possible, being that Apple has barely talked about the U1 chip since first introducing it in 2019 in the iPhone 11 series, that there's more to the story here. And potentially more of that story is lossless audio in combination with AirPods Pro 2. I mean, that's my best guess. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's another reason. Let me know down below, because I can't think of anything else. I also can't think of why you wouldn't update to iOS 15.6, guys, because it's out now. Yeah, iOS 15.6, along with a slew of other Apple updates, was just released, and you might be saying, wow, with a 15.6 name, there's got to be something crazy packed in here. There's got to be something wild. No, this is probably the smallest iOS update I've ever seen. Now, don't get too excited, but in the TV app, there's now the option to restart a live sports game that's already in progress, or pause, rewind, or fast forward. Wow, that's whole innovation isn't dead. And then there were also some bug fixes in settings where it would show you that your device storage was full even if it wasn't. Also, an issue was fixed in Mail where Braille devices would slow down or stop responding when you were looking at text, and an issue in Safari where it would revert back to a previous page. That was so annoying, where like you'd go back to Safari and then the page was messed up. Update to iOS 15.6 and those issues should be addressed. And guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I feel like this is fast paced. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. I feel like the iPhone 14, I'm swinging around. I'm getting excited. It's just around the corner. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. Stay tuned for more Apple news. I'm Sam Cole. I'll catch you cool cats in my next video. Peace.